Welcome, everybody. This is Where's Your Focus podcast. My name is Linda MELANSON, and this is...
I'm Karen. Hi.
Karen Alexander. So today we are talking about words, but before we get into that, we're going to talk a couple of other things that's been going on. Right now, we're going through a new moon. The new moon's peak was at 1:15 this morning. And so this new moon influence is under Capricorn. So this is about finding what you are bringing to the community. So we may have a lot of draw to want to be contributing to the outside world. And if you are not, in an influence to be able to do that, it might be pushing you to look inwards so that you can be filling your own cup so that you can bring what you need to the outside world. It's a great time. I mean, we're in the first new moon influence of the year, 2021. So it's a great time to be writing down goals, things that you want to achieve in 2021 and all that fun stuff. So yeah.
Right.
And then, so what's going on with the Schumann's resonance?
Well, it's been quiet for the last couple of weeks, but last week when we were on, the page that I look at had not been updated. I went on the day before. I should have gone on that morning. And I guess there was a lot of, let me just have a look what I wrote down. I think it was the 5th of January. Oh my God, I was going to say December. The 5th of January, the amplitude had gone up to 1200. So the power of 1200. And I did check also on this week in Alberta and California. We hit a little bit of a peak. It wasn't really, really high, but it was a little bit of a peak there. And but realistically, we're back down now. Today, I think we're a high of 8.52 and a low of 7.6. And the one that reports today, the Alberta one is 2 days before, so we don't have anything from the last couple of days, but there's stuff happening for sure. But it's hitting peaks and then it's coming down. Now on the 4th, it went to 400 hertz, which is different than the power, like we tried to explain a little bit last week. But so definitely happening. There's definitely stuff going on there. It is going up, but it doesn't seem to be staying up as long as it did a couple of months back. So it's kind of peaking and then coming back down. Yeah. So I see that in South Africa, they've actually taken that graph right out now. It's just a flat line. So do you remember the last couple of weeks, it was just at 0 all the time. So we weren't sure if it was working properly or not, but now it's in the center of the graph. So I'm assuming that it's just gone. The other one, I think it was New Zealand, that kept going up and coming down and then going across, coming up. That's the same thing. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Yeah. So really, it's just Alberta and California that have been, and it's kind of funny because that's where there's a lot of ruckus happening right now in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of stands to reason that the world, that the earth is reacting to that.
Absolutely.
Pretty
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
it is.
So yeah, it is really interesting. So between that and everything that's going on with the solar system, the moon and the planets, and that we've talked about in the last couple of episodes, it's quite interesting. So today we're going to get into words and what we can expect in this. I keep looking at you, Linda, because I'm above and you're below on my iPad. I keep looking down, so I'm not looking at the ground. I'm not looking at it. So we're going to talk about words. So we're going to talk a little bit about what words are, kind of where they came from, how to use them, how they affect us, and how to use them more effectively to empower us. Right? So, and the big thing too, I guess where to start, the big thing is that words hold energy. Words are a frequency.
They sure are. Yes, they are affecting our subconscious mind. So our conscious actions and subconscious actions at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So words are extremely powerful. And Karen, went really deep into the actual words and what they're actually saying, which I just absolutely love. So she should have lots of examples for us today.
Well, yeah, there's quite a few there. So between the two of us, we'll come up with a few, I'm sure.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, the subconscious and the conscious. So I know we had kind of set out a list of how we were going to go on that, Linda, and we kind of said we're just going to go back and forth a little bit, right? So if you wanted to go into a little bit about the subconscious and the conscious mind.
Sure. So
I'm not to put you on the spot, but you're good at it.
Well, see, our entire life is made up of words, right? So everything that we think and everything that we've been programmed from a very young age is all shaped by the words that we're using in the subconscious and conscious mind. And, words have many different types of meanings to different areas of your actual energetic system. So, it's always interesting to see, because sometimes in the mind, the word can mean something, but our energy system is saying something else when we say it, right? So it's like, when you say actions are more powerful than words.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So it's like you're saying one thing, but you're doing another. It's like your energy is actually behind. The energy is speaking louder, because that is what your true thinking is. So, words are very interesting that way. And also too, the I am statement. So a lot of times we become identified by the words that we're using. So we'll walk and we'll attract other people that match that experience as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So words in essence are spells.
Absolutely.
Because what we say, and I mean we see it every day in the words that we use, in the intention that, or the energy, like you say, the intention that we have behind those words, how they can affect somebody else. You might say something to me that you think is completely normal and everything is fine with it, but it might mean something completely different to me. Absolutely. Right? And so that's where we have to try and be a little bit cautious, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we're trying to be aware.
Aware is a better word. You're right.
Yeah. Aware of, when you get to know somebody, and I mean, we all share energy. So sometimes you can
Absolutely.
feel, it's like the word left your mouth and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah,
I
that's
can
right.
feel
Right.
that something is not right with what I just said.
Oh,
And so, just being aware of these things and not letting it, if that relationship is important to you, don't let it get swept under the rug. Bring it out, address it,
absolutely.
um,
Because not addressing it, then that's what causes the turmoil inside, right?
absolutely. And bringing that and addressing it. Sometimes we have a hard time finding the words to express what we're feeling. Again, that's the disconnect between the energy system and the mind, right? So, you know, bringing that awareness back in and learning how to put words to the energies that you're feeling, it helps you to be able to connect deeper to the people around you and also within yourself.
Absolutely, absolutely. And a lot of times, if something like that were to happen, you'd want to take a little bit of time and not just sit and think about it. Actually, let it go down. Bring everything down so you can actually feel what you feel, and you're able to better express it at that point, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I'm
words are vibration.
absolutely. Words are carrying vibrations at all times. I mean, like your frequency is determined by others by the words that you're using, right? And
Absolutely, because every word goes down to a number.
absolutely, yes,
Every
exactly.
word goes down to a number. Like on the alphabet, if we're talking about the English or whichever, every word has a number, right? So it can all go down to a number to where now that word has a frequency.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So interesting. It's
It
so
is.
interesting.
It really is. And so when we're actually learning words, we call it spelling,
Exactly.
right?
And
And
it's funny because when the kids are in school, they learn spelling, and they learn to write words, but they're learning spelling.
that's right. You're
Yeah.
actually learning how to put vibration behind the words, right? The more that you learn different words, the more that you learn the vibrations that go behind them. And
Mhm.
we have social words. So we have words that we see on the outside world that we automatically know. A window is a window, a door is a door. But then there's words that are very personal words. So,
Mhm.
what love means to you might not be the same as what love means to
Exactly.
me. So,
Right.
what love means to me might not be the same to you.
Exactly. So the words actually create an image in our mind. So that would be the words like the window, but the love would create a different image in your mind than it would in my mind or it would in somebody else's mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think,
And
what was it that you were telling me about the word love? There was something that you were researching. What
yes, I had actually listened to a podcast. I think it was a podcast that I had listened to. And in the podcast, they talked about two different words. They talked about the word love, and they broke it down as life's only valuable emotion, right? L, life's only valuable emotion. So that was pretty neat. Not sure if we 100% agree that it's the only valuable emotion, but everything does come back to love, right? Either love or fear.
exactly? Well, and
Yeah.
this is the thing is, they say that even when you have a near death experience, you're going back to that euphoric love feeling, right? That
Right.
that that is the feeling that you have in source, and we get pockets of it. We get pockets of those feelings as our human experience.
Mhm.
But the more that we bring love into our energy system and we're breaking apart trauma, we're doing it with love all the time, right? So it really
Absolutely.
is a very important emotion, if not the most important emotion.
Mhm.
I mean, we have emotions that are extremely important because they help us to learn and they help us to grow, but they're all putting us back into that feeling of love, right? That's where we're constantly trying to bring our being is back
Yeah,
into.
it's almost like that love is, and I don't want to use the word end because we have to be very careful how we use, but it's the finale. It's that finale emotion that everybody wants, right?
Mhm.
So yeah. And then the other word he spoke about was fine. F-I-N-E. And you know, when a woman has a fight with her husband or whatever, and the husband comes home and he's like, "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." "Yeah, I'm fine." So there's that energy, right? And behind the word fine on this podcast, I found it was really cute. It's fearful. I is insecure, neurotic, and F-I-N-E, emotional.
Jeez.
So, ladies, if you have a fight with your husband and you say, "I'm fine," and you're really not fine, don't say you're fine. You might want to think of another word to come up with if you are fine.
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good, or I'm
I'm great.
empowering, I'm growing, whichever, right?
That's right.
Oh, it's so funny. But yeah, just to go back to what you were talking about, Linda, and how what we had mentioned and how words are spells. I had done some reading, and when Shakespeare, I guess when Shakespeare was around, he brought over 1,000 words into the language. Okay, he constructed over 1,000 words. Now, at that time, there was not a whole lot of people who could read or write.
Are we back on?
Oh, we're gone?
Just give it a second.
Yeah, no, I'm talking there.
1 second. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, perfect. That's better.
Okay, we're just a little slow. I've got it playing on the side there that I'm keeping an eye on, but so I'm not sure where we went off. In any case, we'll just start where. Sorry, go ahead. Shakespeare. Yeah. So Shakespeare has had at that time he had put another 1,000 words or so into the language, into the English language, and at that point in time, not a whole lot of people could read or write. Wow. So he was able to manipulate the words to do what he wanted to do. And I mean, words are used for control a lot of times, right? A lot of times. So he was able to put a lot of words into the English language and control his constituents, I guess, or whatever, with those words. And that's over 1,000.
If you think about it, I mean, Shakespeare was the media at that time.
Exactly.
Like he was the one that was pretty much writing the narrative and entertaining the people. So he was a powerful person in our history for sure when it comes to words and how we've shaped out to our entertainment industry and all of that stuff.
Absolutely. So yeah. So and going back, you know, we had talked. I'm just going to give a little example because I thought it was really cute. When I actually told you about it yesterday, Linda, when we met, but I sent a message to my sisters. We talked about how different words have different meanings to different people, right? So when we were young, if we would ask Mom, if we went home and said, "Mom, what are we having for supper?" Mom would say, "You're going to have bread and pullet." Okay, just bread and pullet. So I always thought that was like, you're going to get what you're going to get, or it's a joke, like you'll see what you're going to get, or whatever, right? I didn't know what it was, bread and pullet. I mean, what is that? It doesn't even make sense. Bread and pullet, like pull it apart. I don't know. So I sent a message to my sisters yesterday, and none of them really knew what it meant. Like one of them had said, it's leftovers. One thought it was going to be leftovers, and then one thought it was something else, and one thought it was whatever, right? So and I had actually noticed it a while back, because I guess it was kind of a revelation for me a few years ago. But in the French language, now my father was English. He spoke French until he was 5, but his parents were French, right? And pullet, if you pronounce the word chicken, poulet, in English, it's pullet, right? Pullet.
Bread and pullet.
Bread and pullet. So was she, and she didn't even realize that she was saying. So it just goes to show how words can change over the course of time, right? And the meaning can change over the course of time. So poor mom, she had no idea that she was saying bread and pullet chicken, right? She probably thought the same as we did. So it's just a cute little example of how words can change, and the origin of the word can, where the word actually came from changes, right?
Yeah. You know what I love about that story is that you had a different meaning to it, and your sisters had a different each meaning to it,
Exactly.
because it just goes to show that if we don't kind of look into something, sometimes we have different meanings to the same words, right?
Exactly. Knowledge is power, right?
Knowledge is
Knowledge
power.
and power is power. So and what we don't know, it kind of it holds us back,
It can very much hold us back.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's quite interesting. It's all quite interesting. Yeah. Sorry, I got off track there a little bit.
That's
So
okay.
we were so we were going to get into maybe I think you already talked about the spirit, soul, and body a little bit.
In the past, yeah.
Yeah.
Was I going to talk about that here today? Did I talk about that?
We had talked about, I think you
Oh,
mentioned a
yes.
little bit.
Okay. So our history and everything that we know about our past and everything is all told to us in the words, right?
Yes.
So our legacies, our history, our spirituality, like everything is communicated through the words that we use. And so the words create meaning in different ways and it carries different energies because of that. Um, and so it's understanding deeper meanings behind, you know, our spiritual aspects and the energy that we're carrying behind these words. So our convictions, everything that we're trying to say comes with words. And I think it's so interesting how some people in history, I mean, there's a lot of smart people that have lived, obviously,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
But why is it some people have more power behind the words that they say than others? What is the difference?
What is going on there?
What is going on? Why are we following the words of some people but not others?
Yes.
I that's one thing that's always been one
It's
of the
interesting.
in the back of my head. What is that? Why is
Right.
that the case? And I
Yeah.
just feel like there's some people when they speak, they have more power energy behind it. More people are drawn to those people, you know?
Higher vibration. Yeah.
It's those higher vibrations. That's right. And so then it becomes, what words are you using to communicate to yourself? Because again, self-communication,
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
when we're telling ourselves off all the time, like, oh, you're nothing, you're stupid, you're dumb, why you do that, you're such an idiot, like you're really bringing yourself down in such a way that, like, that becomes an energy, a vibration inside of you that other people can feel in the world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the more that we speak ourselves up and we're trying to be kinder to ourselves, use nicer words, that becomes an energy that other people can feel as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah. So in essence, you're enhancing your mind,
Absolutely.
right? And which at that point, you're going to recharge your spirit, which is going to awaken your soul. So
Exactly.
it's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and it's really important. I mean, people go through a lot of different things, and there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of anxiety, and people are using those words for themselves. So if that's one of if anybody that's watching now or is going to watch in the future, whatever, has those kind of feelings, there's always something that you can do. There's always help, right? That you can get. I mean, even I've told people to, just write yourself a nice note and put it on your mirror so you see it every morning. That says, I am smart, or I am beautiful, or I am whatever it is that you are, that
Yep.
you might not feel you are.
Yep.
And
And
so
because
as long as you see it and you say it to yourself every day, it's repetition, right? So it's like we talked about last week. Repetition is going to bring on that habit, and that habit is going to bring on that feeling that's inside.
that's right.
And it's going to raise your vibration to where you want it to be.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. And also interrupting sentences that were sound like those moments, they interrupt these thought sentences that we have. You know,
Mhm.
like as soon as we wake up in the morning, we have a program, it's running. It's like you have things, I think it's something you think like 40,000 thoughts a day. So a thought is a sentence that you're thinking. So just think about how many words that is. It's a lot of words. So you want to be interrupting those thoughts, right? So when we're doing positive affirmations, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to interrupt the thought
Absolutely.
and
Right.
insert a new one. Another exercise that's amazing to do is if you're having self-defeating thoughts, self-defeating words that just you can't seem to get away from, take a red pen and you're going to write those thoughts out. Write them out. You leave two
Okay.
spaces between each one and you just write them all out. Then take a black or blue pen and go in and write the truth. Because when you're having self defeating thoughts, that is not the truth. So the truth is always based in love and wholeness. So you go back and you write the truth underneath each one. And this exercise I found transformative. I only had to do it 2 or 3 times, and those thoughts were just completely shifted
And,
over.
and Linda, I love the colors because when we're in school, the teacher's correcting your paper and she's anything that you have wrong is written in red.
That's
So
right.
color as well, and then the blue or the black, right? For anything that's right. So
Exactly.
like our mind absorbs so much
Mhm.
and that becomes ingrained in there so that when we see red on a piece of paper, we automatically think that's wrong or it's got to be corrected.
Mhm.
Right? So that's
Abs
amazing.
It is.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so cool. Wow.
That's an exercise
Yeah.
from Lisa Nichols. Look her up. She
Okay.
was in The Secret. She's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice. I like that. That's a good, that's good. That's good. Okay. So do you want to get into a few words?
I do.
A few examples of words then, and some words that might have some hidden meanings. So and you might have, well, I know Linda, we talked about a lot of them, so we know what they are, but whoever's watching, you may have already heard some of them. But one of the first words that I heard and I went, oh my goodness, was understand. So if you look at the word understand, it's meant to be like, do you understand what I'm telling you? Do you understand what I'm saying? Right. But if you look at the compound of the word, it's understand. So it's like you're standing under, understand, right? And the word holds a different vibration, I guess, depending on, not I guess, but we've had this conversation just a little while ago, how it holds a different vibration depending on who it's coming from, right? A lot of times you're going to get the word understand being used by authorities, right? So when a police officer is reading you your rights, he's going to say, do you understand? Right? So, and that makes that person kind of feel like they're standing under the authority, right? So all these things, all these words get lodged in our subconscious, right? So understanding somebody, when you're on, of course you have to be, not that you're under, not that you're lower than authority, but you have to be respectful of authority. That goes without saying. But to be understood or to be under, to stand under somebody else, there might be another word that you can use that may be a little, if that does something to you. It might not. Now that I've told you, it might. It's hard to say, right? I have a hard time now saying the word, yeah, I understand.
I actually, because when I'm doing readings, I'm constantly, trying to say, is that making sense? You know what I mean?
Better.
I find that even in the lives, if I say, do you understand? It's just not, it doesn't hold the same as, are you, does that make sense to you? Does that resonate? Are you, like it just,
I agree 100% because I find when you say the words, do you understand? It's almost like you're in an authoritarian position, whereas you say, you know what I mean? Or does that make sense to you? There's the difference in the words, right? And there's one thing that I was listening to Charlie Freak one time, and his wife was on there, and she was saying understand instead of understand. I understand, which is another, it's neat, right?
Yeah,
It's kind of just
like
changing that word. Yeah. So that's one of the words. Another word that, there's, and these are, all these next ones are all just going to tie together. So if you look at a movie, okay, a movie has a cast, right? There's a cast of actors. Well, and the cast of actors make the movie. They play out that movie. But in spells, you cast a spell as well, right? So there's kind of there could be a little bit of a correlation there. And then you look at television, the word television, if you break it up, it's tell-a-vision. So they're telling a vision, they're telling the movie, right? So when does it come to the point where it's not, or does it ever come to a point where it's not just a movie and it's telling us, like giving a script, right? Telling a vision. So telling what whoever wrote the script wants you to believe. And is that a way of control? Right? So there's so many different words like that. Realize, real eyes, right? Oh, I realize. Now I see with my real eyes. I realize.
I love that post that you made the other day. It was like a complete play on words, like do use your eyes to realize.
Oh, use your real eyes to realize the real lies. Real lies, right? So yeah, like there's so many little things. And I mean, that there was a couple of comments on that. And everybody's heard it. Everybody's heard it. But do you realize what it actually is, right? There's just so much. There's just so much. What's another one? Good morning.
That's right.
Good morning, right? Morning. So mourning is when you lose somebody, you're in mourning, right? It's spelled different, but it's pronounced the same. So if you go to somebody and say, good morning. So what does that mean? Is it a ritual? Like, is it a you know what I mean? A ritual for, right?
Yeah.
When words cast spells, but again, it depends on the energy that's brought behind it. If you come in and you say, good morning, there's a different energy with that. So there's a different meaning, and the mind, the subconscious mind hears differently then. So we have to try to be careful or be aware of what we're saying and how we say it. Another one is retired.
I know.
Retired.
You spend your whole life being tired, and then you retire to be retired.
Exactly, right?
Find something else to be tired about.
Exactly. And then how about this one? You work to earn a living.
The earn.
Okay. The earn. So the earn is what you go in when you die, right? But when do you work?
Yeah.
You work the weekdays. The weekdays.
I know. I thought that was an interesting one. The week, like during the week. Why are you weak during the week? What is that?
Is it because you're working all week?
Yeah.
Your weekdays, and then comes the weekend. So the weakness ends.
The weakness ends on the weekend.
Right? It's
interesting.
It's so interesting when you really sit down and look at the words. And I mean, that's just a few, right? Like there's so many. A TV program. Exactly. A program, right? You go to a show or whatever, and there's a program as to what's going to happen first and whatever. There's a TV program as to what's coming on, but if you took it a step further, and again, if that's a way of whoever is giving you the program is wanting you to do things a certain way, isn't that programming?
That's right.
Right? And then there's the remote control. So yeah, so there's a lot of different little words in there that are quite interesting.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
definitely think that that is amazing because, we get so used to using words that we forget the core of what the vibration is carrying in the word. Um,
And
and
sometimes we don't even realize,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry, Linda, go ahead.
that's okay. And I think I always looked at like emotion is energy in motion, emotion, energy, emotion. And it really is like your emotions that you're feeling is what brings about and manifests more in your life than just physical
Mhm.
thoughts. So the
Absolutely.
emotions that you're carrying behind what you're thinking is more powerful than just the thought itself,
Mhm.
you know. I've always been a huge advocate in learning the law of attraction. So I, have gone deep, deep, deep into all the teachings that there are and all the people who have talked about it publicly. And so, when I learned about energy and motion, I was like, of course, that makes total sense because
Right?
your energy is much more powerful than what you're actually thinking. And the more that we can break apart the clogged energy that we have, so like anxiety, sadness, fears, when the more we get to those cores of those things and break apart the words that are holding them there, the more that we have the powerful energy to put into e- the energy and motion to put into place the things that we want and need. And
Absolutely.
we align ourselves more and more to the higher beings and our higher self with the thoughts of, being one with source and living in that energy, the more powerful we are as well, because we're bringing that loving energy to the words that we're using and thinking.
Right, right, absolutely. And the other thing too, Linda, is that we're a very high percentage of water, right? Like what 70, 80% water. I mean, you hear different things. Some people say 70, some people say 72, some people say 80. Whatever it is, it's a high percentage of water. And water holds memory,
Yep.
right? So if we're that much water and those words come in, we're going to hold those. We're going to hold that memory, and water actually amplifies it.
Absolutely. So I did a
So,
project with Ella and Alexi at the beginning of the year when we were homeschooling. And we
okay.
had two plants. So one plant, I told them you say really not nice things to them and
Mhm.
do that. And then on the one plant, we do really nice words, really beautiful and da da da. And within one day, you've seen a difference in the two plants. Same
Unreal,
watering
right?
schedule, same light, everything completely different plants. Like automatically, like within one day, the plant that they were being really nice to, it had a nice shiny hue to it. The leaves were broader. It was just like standing higher. And the ones that they were being was like dull looking, kind of shriveled a little bit. And it was hard for them to say not nice things to that plant. Hard.
Yeah,
They had a hard time because they didn't feel right making the plant feel bad.
right. Well, that's neat. That is so
But
cool.
such a powerful realization for them about the words. And then the other day, Ella was kind of feeling off and she was kind of saying these mean things to herself. And I said, geez, you're not using very nice language to yourself. How can you expect to feel good if you're not using good language? She's like, you're right, mommy. But I know it's because she's had those experiences that now she can put the words to the feelings and say,
Right.
you're right. You're right. I need to use better language here.
Good, good, good. Yeah, you're teaching her so well, and that brings up another good point too. Talking about our your little experiment that you did with Ella and Alexi and talking to the plant. The plants are alive. Well, our food, our vegetables, and everything, guys, was alive, right?
Hmm.
So when we eat food, you can actually raise the vibration of the food by saying nice things to your food. It might sound crazy, but it actually works. If you take a strawberry, okay, and you say, for an example, if you have two people and you give two strawberries, one to one person, one to the other, same kind of thing as what you did with the plant. And one person says really nasty things to this strawberry and the other person says really nice things to the strawberry, then you take the strawberry and one of them, the one where you're saying nice things to the strawberry, is going to actually taste better than the one that you were saying nasty things. It's amazing. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm not sure if I believe that, but I believe it because it actually happens. So water, again, living. So you can do the same thing with the water you drink, right? You can charge your water with energy, with your words, with numbers, with frequencies. Like there's so much that we can be doing.
Yeah, I actually had a student in my class today. We were talking about foods and the energies behind the water and how you can use food and water to actually raise your energy vibration. And she was saying that this is a practice that she does. She, like, if she said, if she's feeling low, she'll put the intention in the water. And then she said it actually tastes different.
It does. It really does. It tastes different. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's about the intention behind the words that you're using too, right?
Absolutely.
And even though, you know, you're not completely 100% aware of some of the intentions that you have behind some of the words that you're using, this is like dangerous waters here, right? Because if your energy is saying one thing and you're saying another, it's almost like you're having a split intention behind what's being said. So you're getting the bad aspect more than you're getting the good, I believe.
Yeah. And so then that disconnect happens, right?
Yeah.
And it's confusing. We might not realize it, but it's confusing to our body, to our mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because again, the thoughts that we're thinking, if they don't line up with our energy system, then, you know, it's almost like, again, we talked about that fragmented being.
Right.
Right. So then now we're fragmented. This is when we're engaging in habits too. Like when we engage in habits that we don't necessarily feel comfortable or happy with, then we start to have those bad feelings towards ourselves. And then the words that we use, we really have like this disconnect between the brain and its functions and the energy system. And the more that we can pull the energy system up so that the brain is aware of what the energy system is feeling, a lot of our anxieties, you know, fears and all of that is a disconnect between the mind and the brain. Because and the more that we can pull that energy system up so that we can understand with our brain what our energy system is saying, the more that we can bring awareness to the whole being and be able to understand more about what our intentions are for ourselves, what our energy system needs, what actions fill us up more, you know, that kind of thing, and moving as a whole being. And so those words become so much more powerful because we're using them as a whole being. So the focus behind them becomes much more intense.
Right. Much more empowering. Yeah. Yeah. So it's all about being aware, right? It's all about being aware that words actually lock in certain frequencies, right? And when we know better, we do better.
Absolutely. It is so true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. So it's about realizing that words can be controlling and they can also be very empowering. So we have to choose which way we want our words to be received by ourselves or by others.
Yes, exactly. And so intimate relationships, it becomes very important to have these conversations.
Yes, absolutely.
Because, you know, this is how we like words get construed, right? So what words mean to me may not be the same to that person. So when we're saying something, it's triggering, especially in intimate relationships. I find those ones are the biggest challenge in trying to get that communication and connection. And it's the words that we're using to communicate how we're thinking and feeling that either increases that connection or decreases that connection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then it's the words, but it's also the discussion afterwards, right?
Yeah.
Because if words like we had, like you had mentioned a little while ago, if you don't have that discussion afterwards, then that's when things get kind of tossed up inside.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I find too that, especially in relationships that are not in harmony,
Mhm.
things happen and we get conditioned because we'll say something and we'll say, okay, this happened. I had this feeling. And then the reaction that we get will determine, are we going to say something next time?
Exactly. That's
You know,
right.
so the conditioning is, and then that's that inner programming. So after a while, maybe you're like, yeah, it's probably worth it not to say
I'm not
anything.
going to bother. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's interesting how we react. There's so much. There's so much to to look at, I guess. There's so many different aspects of how we react, how we're triggered, how we receive, how we give. Like there's just so much.
So true. So,
Yeah.
so true. And two, like if something isn't working in your life the way that you want it to, it's really good to turn inside and say, okay, what are my true thoughts about this situation? And looking into your energy centers too, and saying, what do you think and feel about this? How are you, like you have, seven, I talked about it before, but you have, energy centers, and each one is processing different types of information.
Right.
So when you're looking in specific words, like what do you feel about money? What is happening? What is your whole being's interpretation of money, not just what's up here?
Right.
The more that you integrate the whole being, if you need more money in your life, look into those energy centers, find out what the whole being is saying about money, and find out if there's something that needs to be adjusted behind it. I thought it was really interesting. I'm not sure if I told you this story or not, but I had a dream one time, and dreams are really great for
Mhm.
finding out what words mean to you.
Yes, that's true.
Oh man, it really
Yeah,
is revealing.
absolutely.
When you have a dream and you write it down and you take the symbol and you put down and you write what that word means to you, it's like, oh poop. Sometimes
Yeah,
like, oh man, I'm really not thinking good about that. I gotta
yeah,
adjust that
absolutely.
situation. But I had a dream about business, right? And then when I wrote business, and the first things that were coming to my mind, I was like, goodness gracious. Like it was like gutless swine. I
Oh,
was like, that's
wow.
a terrible way to think. Like what does that mean that I feel about myself trying to run a business, for Pete's sake? Like so I
Absolutely.
really had to do a little bit of work there on adjusting how I saw people in business,
Mhm.
and also myself, because I mean clearly I was not thinking very kindly of myself as a person trying to run a business.
Absolutely. And then I love that. I love that we can come out and like you just came out and gave your own experience and how, somebody else might how what do I want to say? How do I want to say this? You're human. We're all human. That's the bottom line. Don't think just because somebody else don't think that somebody else is higher than what you are because of what they're doing or because of the words they're using or whatever. Don't think they're better than you are. They have those moments too. We all do, right? We all have things that happen that make us go, oh man, that should not be. I shouldn't be thinking like that. I shouldn't be doing that. What did I do there? How did I react to that? That happens to all of us, right?
It
And
does.
just going inside and like you say, just check it, doing your check to see what's going on and why. But I love that you come out and say, that you're not perfect, because we're not. None of us are.
That's right. And I mean, I like the greatest success stories of the world are the ones who had the hardest hardships and
To
turned
get
them
there.
into successes.
Absolutely.
Right? Like
Absolutely.
everything that happens to us that causes us to have a hardship in our life is a gift. It's a gift. It's for us to
Yeah.
use to our advantage. So all of these little things that we discover about ourselves that may not be in alignment with how we want to think about the world is a gift. It brings you that much closer to the success that you're looking for.
Right. So let's just look at words on that now. So something happens in your life and you choose to see it as, oh man, I'm so unlucky that happened.
Yeah.
Instead, looking at it and saying, okay, so what gift is this for me now? What am I going to learn from this? Or what, you see the difference in how the words you use change the vibration of the whole situation. Now, I know it's not always easy. I mean, there's a lot of shit happens sometimes to people, right? That's hard to get through. I'm not saying that, you have to be uppity all the time and that not going to go through some things, but just being aware of the language that we're using, of the words that we're using, it changes our reality when we change our words. Like we create our own reality with the words that we use. So even if something happens that we use words that we maybe should not have used or whatever, we can always change it around, right? And bring that vibration back up.
That's right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And it's also about becoming aware of the people that are around you and the words that they're using to explain their world and their experiences. I'm not saying you have to completely push people out of your life, but disconnect sometimes, because you can really get caught up in what is being said and how it's being relayed, and oh my gosh, it's terrible, and oh, and it's, when you can step back and you look at it from an objective point of view and you say, okay, that's your experience. Now, helping them to use that experience to their benefit instead of feeding into the
Yes. Oh, poor
mindset.
you. Yeah, feeding into it. Oh, poor you. Like I would not want to have to go through that. What a terrible thing.
Mhm,
That's feeding into it, right?
mhm. And it's also like, we have clusters of words,
Yeah.
that feed
Yes.
into, like, is it victimhood? Is it, you know, pain words? We have pain words, words that feed our pain.
Yes.
And there's this so many different ways that we use words that feeds the suffering.
Mhm.
We want to be using words that dissipate the suffering, and
Right.
bringing
Right.
that light into the energy is the way I feel to do that,
Mhm.
and attaching new words. And we have to think, like, right now we're at a time of great awareness. You can see it. It's everywhere, you know,
And getting stronger.
and getting stronger. But life was not always that way. And if we look back in the history, you can see that, our parents' parents and their parents' parents, it was a very volatile time. And so a lot of their habits and ways of dealing with things was very volatile. It was like, it's this way or it's no way, because that's what survival needed at that time.
Mhm.
But now, as we're shifting into this, really, safety is a whole different topic today than it was 100 years ago, 200 years ago,
Oh
300
my
years ago.
goodness. Yes.
And so, you know, families are not as big as they used to be. So it just, the whole reality of what we're experiencing is a completely different experience than what it was back then. But a lot of times we're still carrying that same language and the intention behind it.
Mhm.
And so right now it's kind of on our shoulders to shift a lot of that stuff and bring it to a place of, openness, realizations, love, bringing just a different energy to the table than what has been in the past. Um, and I find that that is a big, big thing for a lot of people right now, is changing that. What happened? I lost you.
Sorry. Sorry. That was my phone.
I'm like, wait, are we doing energy healing right now?
Sorry.
Tuning forks.
I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine. But yes, and the words that we're using also is changing in a big, huge way. We have, outdated words that are really changing very quickly these days. And I mean, even when you look at texting and everything, I think texting really revolutionized the way that we're using words.
Really, right? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I'm just thinking about a couple of words there. I'm not going to say them. No, you're absolutely right. And I mean, what's happened is over the course of history and everything that's gone on. And I mean, back then, there wasn't as much communication around the world as what there is now, right? Everything was smaller, everything was more secure. You think about it, you left your doors all unlocked. Now you don't leave your doors unlocked. Well, we do next door, but not all the time, but
Sometimes.
sometimes we do, yeah. But that's exactly right, Linda. The world is changing, and as we're evolving, the words that we're using, we're not evolving. I mean, yes, some are changing, but we're still using those old control words that we've been using all along, and that's where we need to kind of wake up to see what's happening. And I don't like to use the word wake up, because I think some people are getting insulted by the word wake up, by the words wake up. And I don't mean to insult anybody. So it's just to become aware of the words.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of the shift that's happening right now too. Like there's just old ways of thinking and being and doing things that are just kind of falling to the wayside, because I mean, the younger generations are just, there's no need for it. It's the same idea as, like when we were going through the war, after the war, there was the Great Depression, or during the war, the Great Depression.
Right.
But you got this mindset that you had to hoard everything. You had to have cupboards that were like full of food, and you had to have like all of these. But now we can go and we can shop and have fresh stuff more readily, so that need to hoard is kind of falling to the wayside. That's an old mindset. Eating meat and potatoes because those are the things that last the longest, and were the meals that's kind of falling to the wayside. We're learning, like, meat and potatoes is not the healthiest way to eat all the time. You got to bring, some fresh vegetables and fresh stuff, and that is the more healthier way, a higher vibration way. But these old ways, and the words are also kind of leaving on that way. There's so many words that I find, even from when I was a kid, that was a regular use, that is no more.
That is not being used anymore. No. And a lot of times it's the controlling words, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you think of any examples that are not used anymore?
For some reason.
It's hard to think, right? It's hard to think when.
Yeah, the example that I hear the most is like your the dial, oh my gosh, I can't even think
the
of
rotary
the
phone.
Rotary telephone. Like that is going to be an obsolete word soon. Like it's pretty much obsolete now.
Right, because I mean, even if you ask somebody how, like, I mean, if we took my grandchild, probably your daughter, and showed them a rotary telephone and said, make a phone call, they might not even know how to use it.
Exactly.
Right. So interesting. All kinds of interesting things with words. Yeah. Fun. Yeah. So, well, I don't know. I think that's pretty much what we have there. I'm trying to see. I think we probably talked a little bit more than what we had actually.
Yes, I definitely.
Yeah. So what we wanted to do, though, is we wanted to remind anybody who is watching, anybody who has any questions with regards to any of our episodes or anything really that you think we might be able to help you with, by all means, make comments, ask us questions. And the last show, I think it's the last episode of the month, we said we were going to answer as many questions as we could, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
We'd like to dedicate a show to just answering questions and
Absolutely.
with all of our watchers and hearing, feedback and also, answering your concerns or questions that you might have. So anything that we can do to help, please let us know.
Absolutely. And Linda, you wanted to make an announcement as well today. Well, you talked about it last week, but maybe just talk about it again today for a few minutes for anybody who wasn't watching last week. Or...
Yeah, so I am just finishing up my 5-day program that I launched. It's a free program that you can take. It's all about mind energy coherence. But it helps with anxiety, depression. It helps with a lot of different things. So the 5-day program, we go through, we touch on a lot of information. There's lots of values. Everybody that took the class, today was the last day. They were just, some overwhelmed with too much information. But a lot were just really thankful that they joined the class and had the experience. So anybody who's interested in hopping into that, you just send me a message and I'll put you into the message thread. And then once you're in the message thread, I put the links every time I go live, every time I'm doing a live class. And then I also stream it to Facebook where you can watch the replays there too. So
Awesome.
yep. So if you're interested in getting in on that, please let me know and we will get you on right away.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yep. And we were going to do a shout out to Ra James. I know she's a girl. I'll post her links underneath. She's amazing. She's doing energy readings, not energy readings, energy reports every day. And she does readings. She's, launching a bunch of courses and just an amazing source of information, amazing source of just being in touch with what's going on and where we're at. So she is, I'll post her links underneath and I just love her. I think she's great. So she's our shout out. Did you have anybody you wanted to shout out today?
No, I don't think so. Not today. I didn't have anything wrote down there. It's been kind of a crazy week for me. I've been really busy this week. So yeah. And so next week, our episode is going to be our focus word is going to be empath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that should be interesting. We'll do a few things there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good class. I have a lot of stuff that comes to mind when I think about empaths and, definitely have some experience in that area for sure.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's good. All right. So I think wow, look at that. 3:00 on the nose.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Thank you everybody for tuning in. It's
thank you.
Ours to have you here and to bring our knowledge to the table for you. So we hope to see you again next week.
Absolutely. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you again next week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.